I know what you're thinking. Another NASA news story. Doesn't she ever stop talking about space? First off, space is awesome, so cool your jets. But if you're waiting for me to talk about space this time, I wouldn't hold your breath. Or maybe I would, because it's about the ocean, so underwater, so, you get it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the STEMulus. I'm Steph, and here's what happened this week in STEM. This may come as a shock to some of you, but out of all of the planets NASA studies, the one they probably spend the most time studying is ours, and when they do, sometimes it's using stuff floating in water rather than floating in the vacuum of space. This week, it was announced that a large multidisciplinary group of scientists from both NASA and the National Science Foundation are teaming up to take a dip in the Twilight Zone. No, really. In this case, we're not talking about the popular 1960s sci-fi show, but rather a particular zone in the ocean, which may sound familiar if you've watched my Cal Academy vlog, which you can rewatch or watch for the first time by clicking the card that's popping up somewhere around here. Friend of the STEMulus, John Foley, the executive director of the California Academy of Sciences, talks about the interest in studying this mysterious part of the ocean, particularly around coral reefs. For a quick refresher, the mesopelagic zone, aka the Twilight Zone, exists from around 660 to 3,300 feet below the surface of the ocean. It gets its nickname because there's not much light there, but it's still teeming with life, many species of which have never been seen by humans. So what exactly has scientists scrambling to this part of the sea? Well, phytoplankton. Now, any marine biologist fans watching may be asking, but Steph, you just said there's very little light at this part of the ocean. Phytoplankton need light to survive, and they'd be correct.
For those of you not super well versed in marine life, phytoplankton are microscopic marine algae that rely on photosynthesis to survive.
As you've undoubtedly learned in your science classes, photosynthesis is a process that requires light, so not having much light to work with would seemingly exclude phytoplankton from this particular depth. Fortunately, it's not living phytoplankton that the scientists are interested in. While they are alive, phytoplankton live in the shallower parts of the ocean, where they do have that necessary light to perform photosynthesis. When photosynthesis is performed, sunlight is used to synthesize food from carbon dioxide, so the phytoplankton pull that carbon dioxide out of the air. When they die, they sink to the deeper part of the ocean, including the Twilight Zone, and haul any leftover CO2 in their bodies down to those depths as well. The carbon from this CO2 can hang out at these depths for long periods of time. We're talking anywhere from decades to thousands of years. In order to study this, the scientists will need to travel 200 miles out into the open water to examine the phytoplankton and take a peek at the chemical and physical properties of the chunk of ocean between the surface and up to half a mile down. The massive team of more than 100 scientists and crew from more than 20 different research foundations will kick off the export processes in the ocean from remote sensing, or exports as the acronym goes, oceanographic campaign by boarding two research vessels, the Roger Revelle and the Sally Ride, in order to head to the northeastern Pacific Ocean starting in August. The Revelle is carrying equipment such as a hydrographic Doppler sonar system capable of detecting ocean currents, and the Sally Ride will utilize some top-of-the-line ocean mapping systems. Other exports instruments will measure everything from temperature and chlorophyll concentration to the color of the ocean at a very high spectral resolution. So now the big question, why is NASA studying dead phytoplankton? As I mentioned at the start of this video, it's actually to study the Earth, specifically its climate. The scientists hope to get a better understanding of the cycle of removing carbon from our atmosphere, a process known as the biological pump, and the role phytoplankton play in it. According to David Siegel, a lead scientist from UC Santa Barbara, the ships will observe simultaneously the three basic mechanisms by which carbon is exported from the upper ocean to depth. We're trying to better understand the biology and ecology of phytoplankton in the surface water, how those characteristics drive the transport of carbon to the Twilight Zone, and then what happens to the carbon in the deeper water. In addition, NASA's program manager for ocean biology and biochemistry, Paula Bontempi, says that not only will we be able to use this information to develop new approaches to identifying and quantifying plankton species from space, we'll be able to predict how much carbon will cycle back into the atmosphere and how much will be transported to the ocean depths for the long term. Since carbon plays a big role in climate change, specifically warming Earth's atmosphere, it's crucial that scientists gain a better understanding of this carbon cycle in order to give them a better shot of establishing some sort of foundation for monitoring the biological and chemical processes that lead to climate changes. So that brings us to our question of the day. What is your favorite non-space mission or technology that NASA has worked on? Let me know in the comments section down below. If you can't think of anything off the top of your head, I'd encourage you to do some research on your own time. NASA has probably impacted your life and even your daily routine in ways you may not have imagined. As always, if you want to check out this story a little bit more in depth, I will include links to my sources down below, along with links to all of my social media and my Patreon page, so feel free to check that out in your free time. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, please feel free to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on any of my future STEM-related content. If you see any cool current STEM-related news stories throughout the week, please feel free to send me a link on the STEMulus Facebook page or on Twitter at the STEMulus using the hashtag #Twistem, and they just might make it into an episode. But with that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay well, stay awesome, and I will see you next time.